All right, in terms of finishing up this circuit so that we can breadboard it, I've already made a few changes here, but let's walk through what I've done and why I've done it. First of all, you can add text to a document, so you can put your name on there. So I'm going to put Mr. Conrad and the date or whatever, 12/4/2020. Okay. So just like we would put that on your MultiSim circuit, when you print it out, that way you don't get your drawing confused with somebody else's. And on here also, you'll see I've changed some of these labels. And what we see here, when you start wiring from gates, they start getting numbered. These are also pinout numbers, and I didn't like the fact that we had different numbers. This is a net that's numbered here. So if I go to edit that net, it says, okay, what is this? This is a net. So what I would rather do, instead of the net being labeled with a number, it makes more sense to label it with the variable name. So in that case, that's AC naught. So I'm just going to label that AC0 or ACO for AC naught. And then this second one is A naught C. So change the net names to the name of the variable. Okay, so you'll see I've already done that. This one down here, this would be A B naught, and then we have A B naught C, and then of course this is A C naught, or AC is this one. And then that, see right here, we see that's net 7, which that's the final equation. Not that we would have to do that, but it's A C naught or A naught C or A B naught C. And we'll look at what that's like on MultiSim Live versus regular MultiSim. So that's why I'm renaming those nets. When that's done on MultiSim, what I usually do is you can right click and change the net color. So what I usually do is change, we have access to a color printer. So it's nice to change the color. So I'll have A be blue and A naught be light blue. And B is green. Of course, it's not being used in this equation or in this circuit. B naught is light green. C naught or C is purple, and C naught is light purple. So that way I'm in the same color scheme. Instead of naming each one, it's exactly the same circuit, but instead of labeling it, we can just do it by color to recolor the net. Okay. Now, why did I change that and I don't like the numbers? That's because if I'm going to breadboard this, I need to know what pins to wire on my breadboard. So as we see here, if we're doing, and the nice thing about regular MultiSim, it automatically will number these. For us here, we don't have that option. It won't automatically number them. So that's why we renamed all these gates as U1A, U1B, U1C. And then if we look up the pinouts, we see that U1A goes in 1 and out 2, and that's an inverter gate. We have a second inverter gate that goes in 3 and out 4. We have a third inverter gate that goes in 5 and out 6. So all I'm doing to label that so that I can do my wiring is I'm going to put a text label in and then edit it. So that's going to go in 5. And then we'll put another text label. I wish there was a shortcut key for text label, but it doesn't appear to be. And so it goes in 5 and out 6. Okay, so that's important. And of course, what we see here on that chip, pin 7 needs to get wired to ground, and that's understood. And pin 14 gets wired to power. Okay. You'll see, let's go ahead and search out a 74LS08, which is the AND gate. And that should give us the same thing. And there we go. We see that it goes in 1 and 2 and out 3. The B goes in 4 and 5 and out 6. And then you would think it goes 8 and 9, but it doesn't. It goes in 9 and 10 and out 8. So again, just the same way. D goes in 12 and 13 and out 11. So we'll go ahead and add text labels there, other than now I lost my sheet. So let's go ahead and go back to full size. There we go. Let's try this again. So that goes in 13 or 12 and 13. So we'll make that one 12. Make that one 13. And then it goes out 11. And we have the same thing with the OR gates. The OR gates I already have labeled. The OR gates we've got, let's see here. Let's go ahead and go back to this. But the OR gates, we'll see that it's labeled the same way, 74LS32. We look at the pin out, it goes in 1 and 2 and out 3. It goes in 4 and 5 and out 6. Now, all 2 input gates are not the same. I think one of them, yeah, the NAND gate goes in 1 and 2 and out 3. But I think the NOR gate is different. Which is like really weird. It goes in 2 and 3 and out 1 for a NOR. So it's important to know what gate number you actually have, because they are not all the same. Okay? So anyways, that would allow us within MultiSim Live. Now we have all the pins of how they would need to be wired in order to breadboard. Now I was excited when I first saw this, because if I go up here and I want to export, it says, hey, I could export to MultiSim 14. Could I export from MultiSim Live to the standard program? And I tried to do that, and I get an error message because you cannot export designs with digital components. So we could export analog drawings, but we cannot export logic gates that have digital components. So that's kind of a pain. I was excited for a moment that I thought we might have that. However, there is a way, if we need to submit projects and submit drawings, you can export to a schematic image. And then that brings up a picture of your file. So there's an easy way. You don't have to use the snip tool in order to submit a picture of your circuit. Okay, so anyhow, that's what that looks like here with MultiSim Live. If we were going to use regular MultiSim, okay, I said that this is exactly the same circuit, wired exactly the same way. Okay, and we just need to make a change in order to see those pin numbers so that we could breadboard it. So you'll see how nice this is. If I go up to Options, Sheet Properties, of course, under Workspace, that's how you could change your paper size. If your circuit does not fit on 8.5 by 11, we could change to 11 by 17. We could change it to size B, 11 by 17, or C or D if we need a bigger piece of paper. You can get most of your circuits on A or B for the most part. But also up here on Sheet Visibility, what you're going to want to show is package pin names. So you want to make sure that that is check marked. The default is usually to have a selection square where it'll name some things but not others. So you want to make sure that that is check marked And symbol pin names, if you check mark that, I'll show you, we'll show you separately what that does. That gets a little more confusing because it's not necessarily needed for wiring. So I'm just going to do package pin names, click apply. So now you see, there we go. The inputs are 1 and 2, output 3. U3A, U3B, input 4 and 5, output 6. So that's really slick. If you do the symbol pin names, that labels those inputs, 1A, 1B, 1Y. And that label then of the 1A, 1B is the same as what we were looking at on the pinout. So like we go back to the LS32 pinout, that's 1A, 1B, output Y1. A2, B2 are the inputs, output Y2, and that's just how it was defined on that particular data sheet. So for the purposes of MultiSim and our breadboarding purposes, we don't necessarily need those. It's just more numbers on the document. It's fine to just turn on the pin names and breadboard from that. So then we'll say okay. And we also, I think, probably have the same option. We could print this, or we probably could do a snip, or wonder if we can save as a PDF. Nope, we cannot save as a PDF. So you could probably print this as a PDF, depending upon your computer. And under print, we would always want to do print sheet setup. If we were going to print this at school, we would want to make sure that we turn off black and white because we want to use our color printer. And then always do fit to page. That way, if we use a bigger piece of paper, smaller piece of paper, it'll scale to fit the page. It would be nice if that would be the default, but I don't think, even if you click set as default, it's not always going to keep those settings when you go to a new file. Okay, so that's how we would do that. And I think if I do print, looks like I don't know if I can do print to PDF or not. I think if you had to submit this, it says Microsoft Print to PDF. I don't know how well that works. I've had issues with that one here at school. So this would work for printing, or if you would need to submit it on MultiSim, you could just use the snip tool and use the snip tool and save the picture to turn in a picture of your circuit. Or you could actually turn in your MultiSim circuit. So anyways, that gets us through, and now we'll be ready to breadboard.